Encounter at Farpoint, The Naked Now, Justice, Arsenal of Freedom, and Conspiracy. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Cirroc, Lofton, and Denise Crosby.
Hello.
Awesome shirt, Denise. Rad shirt, Cirroc.
Absolutely.
My name is Ryan T. Husk. Today we're doing a full season review special on Star Trek The Next Generation. Season 1, we're going to talk about all of the aforementioned episodes and all the others, the iconic ones, the forgettable ones. We're going to fly through them. How you guys doing?
Oh,
Great.
so happy to see you guys. I've missed you.
Ditto.
Yeah,
very
great.
much. It's so
We
good
miss
seeing you.
too.
We're gonna
love
get
you.
you like 15 shirts if you keep making them look that good. Honestly,
Oh,
Yeah.
doesn't she make
I mean,
our
that
shirts
thing-
look good?
That pops on you.
Okay, I love the cut, the taper in the middle. It's just very flattering on a woman's body. Really. This is like my favorite t-shirt.
Love it. Everybody at
beautiful.
home, you can get your pink Seventh Rule shirt or any color. There's like so many colors. You can get it at our spring store. It's the online store. You can click that link in the description box below. Go to the online spring store and get yourself a Seventh Rule shirt. Let's move
Ladies,
forward.
they're great, a great fit. I'm telling you. Trust me.
Oh, also, here's a very quick bit of news, everybody. If you love Denise Crosby, and who doesn't, and want to see more of Denise Crosby talking with me and Cirroc, well, go to Star Trek Las Vegas, because check this out. If you go to creationentertainment.com and you check out their Star Trek Las Vegas lineup, you'll see that there will be a panel with Cirroc, Denise, and myself.
Oh my God.
And it
that's
says,
great.
The Seventh Rule
That's
podcast
sweet.
presents Denise Crosby, Cirroc, Lofton, and Ryan T. Husk as they discuss their recent watching of the first year of The Next Generation and the first time that Denise and Cirroc have watched them. They will discuss their thoughts and Tasha Yar's contribution to Star Trek lore. Join us.
Oh, what a nice blurb. What a nice press release.
Right at the top of the special events page. If you go to the special events page, it's got like the Rat Pack and then the Seventh Rule. So special thanks to
Wow.
Creation for that. And we'll see you all then. Looking forward to it.
Please come.
Mm-hmm. And then please go to Denise and Cirroc's tables and buy all of their stuff.
Just buy everything on the first day so I can go down to the pool and party the rest of the time, the weekend I'm there. Just buy everything on our tables. So Cirroc and I can go, hang at the pool.
Yeah.
I thought Tasha Yar's contribution was to Star Trek's data, not Star Trek's lore.
Yep. Very good. There was a lore thing in there. You got it.
Wow.
I had to use it. I had to use the data lore.
You're good.
It's a deep cut. Deep cut.
Yeah, that's inside trading right there. Yeah.
So, by the way, season 1 was sponsored by our good buddy Grandpa One, aka Tim Baum. Let's fly through some of these right quick, starting with Encounter at Farpoint, episodes 1 and 2. That's where we're introduced to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It was pretty cool.
Kind of cool.
Ish.
Loved the hot wax blown on my face, avoided, at least I still have my eyesight. Loved Q. That's my favorite part of it all, was Q's presence, and Delancey just chewed it up and got it, just laid the groundwork.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I thought that we also saw some of the signature format things that they would end up using throughout the show, with this basically establishing shots with the ship exterior, kind of, starting out with that. That would be a template for the coming episodes. Also, the captain's log with Patrick Stewart's voice coming in and just setting the tone for the episode. I thought that's another kind of thing that stood out to me as being something that set precedent and was something they liked because they kept using it over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
And let's not forget the skorts. We saw some skorts in there.
We did.
You know,
We did.
Some
the scant uniform,
what are they called?
Scant.
The scants?
Scant.
The scants. Oh, I'm thinking shorts and skirts.
I like skorts. I like skorts too.
Yeah, scants sounds a little sleazy. Skorts sounds.
We wear skorts.
Yeah. Skorts sounds like beachwear.
Yeah, skort. I'm putting my skort on today and going hitting the waves.
Yeah, I like that.
Well, if you like skorts and scant clothing, you loved Cirroc's favorite. But that's a little later. Actually, that's Justice. The Naked Now was next. The Naked Now with
Speaking of scant clothing, wow. Well, I mean, that is monumental, this episode. Only in that, how many humans have you seen on television making it with an android and getting away with it? You know, in the 1980s, that was pretty
about
racist.
To become reality now. But,
well, I mean, every girl has one, but you know what I mean? It wasn't out in the open.
Oh yeah, this was a great episode. Definitely memorable. Like, you can't forget this episode. That outfit you had on, I think, is the highlight of the whole thing for me. That was.
It's
rock hard abs.
It is.
You did it.
God, man. And there's no CGI there. There's no body double. That's that's a lot of sit-ups and Jane Fonda aerobics going into that. I worked hard for the money for that one. Yeah.
Oh, you rocked that outfit. I think it's literally the highlight of season 1. Love the jokes in this one, the fully functional jokes, this was a great episode. There once was a young lady from Venus. I mean, this had memories that you will always kind of remember. So this is one of my favorite look backs on this season.
Another thing you always remember is the next one, Code of Honor. Boy, that one was definitely a thing.
Follow up, what a to Naked Now. That's when the brakes, like we skidded to a halt, and went, what are you doing? What are you thinking? I just, I was so fresh into the game at that point that I didn't have much leverage to even, stop the game and just go, guys, what's going on here? But even then, as a young actor in my first series ever, I was aware that this is dangerous territory, and I'm not sure what where you're headed here. What's your intention in this episode? So it's a troubling, fraught episode. Yet, I remain adamant that it stays in the track of what we did as we did it. As we know, people are trying to put disclaimers, and try to edit it out. But no, it absolutely needs to be seen for what it is, to reflect 1986.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think you said it best. We read into all the details and the things that were creepy about it. But definitely it shows that Tasha Yar was a central focal point of the early season.
She was,
season 1. They really wanted to start with a lot of Tasha being the center of the storyline. Unfortunately, it was at least in these couple of cases now, it was it was very narrow-minded and very sexualized instead of being dynamic and character driven. So yes, that's the Naked Now.
Right.
I mean,
what else was
exactly, but a perfect semblance of the attitude and mindset of where we're at that point in time.
Next, we had The Last Outpost. Our good buddy Armin Shimmerman continued his apology tour for that episode. Joined us on that one. We talked all about the Ferengi introduction. That was a great time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Armin has done a great job of making up for the first appearance of the Ferengi. I think
Superstar.
we're judging. He really shouldn't.
No, I mean
that was given this direction. Yeah, this is what the direction they were given. But obviously, they developed their ideas on the Ferengi. But I do want to say that I like the graphics of the ship, the Ferengi Marauder that they showed in this episode.
Love the Marauder.
I love the Marauder. I thought that was great job for the visual effects guys coming up with something really alien looking. And also, I remember Geordi in this the close up on his visor and how detailed it was. Something just the little touches what makes Next Generation stand out over time.
You know what else stood out? Just moving forward is Eric Menyuk, who played the Traveler in the episode Where No One Has Gone Before. And he's just another one of the many guests that we had that just blew us away in this. And thank goodness for them, right? Because sometimes the episodes didn't blow us away.
That's right. And he brought such character and personality and artistry to this performance it was so wonderful. That was a highlight for me, watching this particular episode and reacquainting myself with his performance. He was and remains to this day a very soulful human being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
that was a fun episode. Also, Wesley kind of has his boy genius kind of breakthrough in this episode as well. His moment where
that's right.
He's able to solve things, and we start to see that.
The one time he solved things for everybody.
Yes, the one time.
We're going, Traveler, you need to take like the two of you need to go now and make
That's interesting you say that.
Galaxy a better place.
It is interesting you say that because they actually did kind of do that a little bit.
Absolutely. In future episodes of The Next Generation and in Star Trek Picard, it's referenced as well. Exactly what you're saying, Denise.
Wow. I could write this stuff.
You could write this. But not right now because we're on strike.
Yeah, don't be a scab.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
So up next, everybody knows the Snakes and Dogs episode, Lonely Among Us. Our special guest was Michael Westmore. There was Mark Alimo that played an Antikin in that episode, which was just kind of a star-studded episode, but everybody's covered up in these crazy masks. But that was a fun one.
I mean, Westmore knocks it, hits a home run in this one. And it was so perfect that he joined us for the podcast because, I remember even acting in this going, what is this masterful thing in front of me, this dog snake thing? I mean, it was just incredible. I mean, that's my takeaway from it.
Yeah.
Also, I want to add really quickly that this is, I think, the beginning of the Sherlock Holmes kind of introduction into Star Trek. So that's where we got It's Elementary, My Dear Riker. And here is my Antikin.
Yes, look at that.
Flashback.
So good.
How ugly that is.
So good.
Really
if
good.
This acting thing doesn't work out for you, you could probably get a job with Westmore.
He can rap. He can play basketball. He can draw.
I know.
He can design clothing.
I'll do the courtroom drawings.
I'm humble.
The defendant looked like this.
I mean, serious. Yeah, if they look like that, which,
So up next, Cirroc also probably had a field day doodling this one. Justice, with all the toe you could ever want.
Oh my goodness!
Our guest was director James L. Conway. We also had a special guest, Rod Roddenberry, for a segment because he played a background actor. He was one of the Justice running teens, but they cut out his scene, but supposedly he's in there somewhere. That was a fun one.
One of my absolute favorite episodes of first season. I mean, just because of its absurdity and humor and, outrageousness, and Bill Tice's costumes just take it to another level. And again, a very strange, I don't know what the intention of the commentary, the story is. They're just all blonde and all running and all perfect
and all very naked
but I love it for its eccentricity. And whenever I'm at a con or a ship or whatever we do with this beautiful franchise, and somebody has gone and made the effort to make a Justice costume and rock that scene, I scream out loud. It just makes me crazy. We're in on something there. I don't know what we're in on, but we're in on it. We're all together in on this weirdness.
Yeah. The next one was, that one, honestly, that's probably the most iconic and memorable one for me was Justice, just because it's so freaking hilarious. Sorry, Cirroc, were you about to say something? Did I cut you off?
Yeah. I was just going to say, I'm surprised they got Riker off of that planet.
That they got Riker off of that planet.
Let's just pause here
he got
for a
off.
minute.
He didn't get off the planet.
Not immediately.
We're starting to lay the groundwork. They're starting to lay the groundwork for Riker's, sort of
escapades.
Yeah, his sexual
appetite.
That they're setting him up. That we see that you and I, the three of us have scratched our heads through this season, going, wait, is he, what level of integrity are we supposed to, accept this guy? He's loving up Troy, but he's doing everything else, so we don't know what this is. It's definitely,
He loved Justice, though. I know that for a fact.
Yeah. He's like, cool planet. Even Worf was like, maybe I'll stick around.
Planet.
Even all right. Tasha was having a cocktail with some
she's allowed. Guy
over there. Having a cocktail. You don't see Tasha having a cocktail very often.
At least it was by your own choice this time.
So the next one was, what is this? Episode 8, The Battle, or Episode 9, The Battle, when a group of Ferengi present Captain Picard with the derelict remains of his old starship. He begins to lose himself in the past. This was the one with kind of like he's seeing the hazy crew people and he's back on his ship, the
Stargazer.
Thank you, the Stargazer, yeah, which was also referenced many times throughout the Next Generation as well as Star Trek Picard. It's his first captaincy. Not a lot there, though.
I think this is the first introduction of the Picard maneuver. I think that's the first time we actually hear it mentioned. The Picard maneuver, but this episode was
kind of bland.
Not much. Yeah, not much to it. Not much to it.
No,
it was in and out. Kind of like John Delancey playing Q. The next episode is Hyde and Q. If you remember, this is the one with like those pig monsters. It says Q returns to the Enterprise, testing Commander Riker by giving him the power of the Q. This was very kind of a herky-jerky episode, if I remember correctly. Had those pig monsters.
And he's changing into all kinds of,
and testing Riker.
Like World War II, and, he's all kinds of things. Yeah.
Civil War stuff.
Is this the episode where he told Wesley, like, I could do something for you, or where he told
It was Riker that he was testing, but then he was going from person to person, and he was like, oh, and that's what it was. He made Wes an adult, and then he gave Geordi his vision. Yeah,
right.
That's the episode.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so he was just exerting his Q-ness, in that one.
Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah, not too much to say about that, I think. But next was Haven. If you remember this one, it says tensions mount as Counselor Troy's arranged marriage and her mother takes a liking for Captain Picard. Meanwhile, a plague ship threatens the planet where they are meeting. But of course, this is where we meet Deanna Troy's mom, Loxana Troy, played by Majel Roddenberry. Troy's making out with that dude. Riker's like, hey, I'm the only one that could make out with other people, not you.
Yeah, really, really, I loved seeing Majel and her assistant, that Mr. wonderful Holm. Carl, Mr. Holm. I forget his name, Carl, who is just a standout actor who has appeared in so many things. I think he played Lurch, if I'm not.
Yes, you are correct. Yeah.
Yes. That was fun to have them on set and really kind of magical in their portrayal of those characters.
Carl Stryken.
Yeah, Carl Stryken, fabulous actor. Again, though, this is a head scratcher for us because of the logistics of the through line of these characters. We were left going, well, wait a minute, Riker's just been, getting off on justice and, and now you're getting all pouty and proprietary with, and where is this relationship?
I like the Riker that wants Troy. I actually prefer that Riker as opposed to the Riker that wants everybody else. The swinger Riker, the player Riker. I actually like. Yeah, I think he's better as the good boyfriend type than the player type. But what I do remember about this episode was the backdrop of them being on the planet when the interaction between Riker and Troy. It felt like a nice, like Gone with the Wind type of, Western background, like a purple sky in the back. And
they were in the holodeck, right?
Yeah, but it reminded me of like the old Western or something that I've watched. The way it was lit, the way it was staged, and even though it's simple and kind of maybe sound stagey, I kind of liked it. It just made me feel a certain type of way. So that's what stands out to me about this episode. Besides the whole Riker,
you're going to get some Troy beef. You're going to get some Westerns in future episodes with the Next Generations. Oddly enough. But we're going to take a super quick break, everybody. And people that are listening in, they're like, I know the Westerns. There's one called A Fistful of Datas. Just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with there. It's kind of a weird one. Anyway, everybody stick around. We're going to give ourselves a very quick break, and we'll be right back on The Seventh Rule. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to The Seventh Rule with Denise Crosby and Cirroc Lofton. We've got no trivioids today because, hey, it's all just episode titles. So up next was The Big Goodbye. Our special guest was Harvey Jason, who had that really cool bookstore in L.A.
Sweet.
What an amazing guest. Interesting episode. I'm not big on the old-timey kind of stuff, but I was really happy with the acting. I thought it finally gave us a little bit of depth on Picard. Harvey Jason was an amazing guest. It's a good one.
Yeah. I mean, that's my takeaway as well, is just, getting to meet him and see him and talk to him and, just what a beautiful soul and beautiful man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He actually overshadowed the episode just because he's such a great guy. That
thank goodness.
I walk away with more of a good feeling about our conversation than I can remember the episode, but I do remember it was some kind of private detective stuff and all of that. The episode was written by Tracy Torme, which was the son of Mel Torme. So I thought that was a cool little nugget.
And Tracy Torme's all over this first season. Really cool. Next was what Cirroc was referring to early on, Data Lore. The episode was entitled Data Lore. We finally get to meet Data's brother. And then that one meme was born where Data's like, it means this. And Lore's like, it means this. And remember, we saw all of the memes and how Lore turns everything naughty.
Yeah, I go away with, I come away with this episode just being really reflective on Brent Spiner's performance. He was really subtly able to delineate between these two. And again, it's early on. He's not played this, he's not lived with this character, this android, this Data, thing that he's creating very long, but he was able to really show his skills as an actor, as an artist.
Yes, I agree. I think that's the big standout for me is Data playing two Datas, and one and each of them having a different personality that's recognizably different when you watch it. So I think that's just a testament to how good he is as an actor, and that's what carried this episode for me. Which we get a lot more of Lore. This is also the beginning of Lore's lore. So it's pretty interesting as well.
Yeah.
True. So up next I was just doing a quick Google on Data and Data, because I know one of them is theoretically is like the singular thing, and I think Data is like a singular piece of data, and Data, the pronunciation Data, is like a bunch of numbers or a bunch of words or a bunch of data points or whatever. I don't know. Maybe I got it backwards. So anyway, moving on to and more on that in season 2, how to pronounce Data properly. That's a real thing. Next was Angel 1. Darren Doctorman of the Inglorious Trexperts calls it Angeloni. Our guest was the wonderful human Leonard Crowfoot.
Who
just we're like, how are we supposed to finish a podcast after this?
Oh,
right?
My
He was amazing.
Amazing. Yeah. That was so special to, see him and know him and talk to him. He was, and again, I had no idea, these guest stars come on to the show and they do an episode, and they're certainly not flaunting their experience or their history, and to learn what he his background and the depth of his background, his dancing, his Broadway was just such joy for me.
It's moving.
Yeah, I also remember this is where Riker decides that he can solve the problem with his special equipment.
Yeah,
again,
and we got to see a little Riker nipple.
Yeah.
What a treat!
Yeah. What I'm talking about.
I'll figure it out.
Yeah, I'll just stay behind and work on this.
I'll work on this. Yeah, I'll smooth this over.
And I'm just going to show you my chest.
Yep. Yeah. Here it is right here.
Lovely. Baby. This is Tysian. This is Tysian. I'm going to call that Tysian.
Yeah. All right. So up next was a little less exciting than that. The episode was called 11001001. This was with the binars that would kind of rattle around each other, but were very obviously planning something nefarious, the way they were like super suspicious and weren't even trying to hide the fact that they were whispering amongst themselves.
Right. So this was in watching this, I came away, especially in our roundtable discussion, just how kind of progressive, this was in terms of addressing binary, non-binary issues and gender conformity, and sort of just talking about this to begin with. I mean, this was decades before, we're talking about it now. And really, really very progressive, this
opening
episode.
up that conversation.
Yeah. I mean, who even knew this was a conversation to have? I mean, to be honest, I certainly didn't. And so in watching this now, you see it in a whole different, it refracts in a whole different light. And that was always interesting to me in doing this with you guys, that, we would go down this path in the 80s and just go, really? They were wow. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, those guys were really funny in their little outfits and doing the little beep, beep, up, beep, beep. One of my favorite things from this episode, believe it or not, is a reflection on our the people that are part of the Seventh Rule, and this is Carrie Schwen. She decided to do a binary version of one of her
her poem. What is it?
Right.
Her limerick.
Her limericks. Yeah.
Yeah, that was hilarious.
And that was one of the funniest things ever. So that's what I remember the most from this episode.
Yeah. Well, at least you remember that, because I was just going to bring up next was Too Short a Season. I actually had to look this one up because I didn't remember it.
I can't remember this one at all.
It says an elderly Starfleet admiral hides a deadly secret as he leads the Enterprise D in a hostage rescue mission. This was the one where the guy is old and then he gets progressively younger and younger and younger as time goes on. And then he ends up like dying as like a young adult. And I think Cirroc made the interesting point of it would have been even crazier if he went down into childhood, because then it's suddenly it's a very different kind of story. But that was one an episode.
Why was that even a thing? I mean, like, what were they trying to say there about what at all costs what we'll go for to obtain, longevity or youth?
I actually thought it was like a greed thing, because he was married, and remember his wife was not getting younger, and he took her dosage. So he took both of them, and she was like, well, why didn't you give me some? And he's like, well, I took yours. Like,
which caused him to have a violent reaction.
Yeah.
He took too much.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like, it's sort of a commentary on, what lengths will go to remain young. Mm-hmm. Which, every day we live in LA. I mean, there's people are taking
see it every day.
medications that they shouldn't be taking to, lose weight, or shooting crap in their face, to remain young. I mean, we're in it. We're in it.
You know what would really sell is something that if you could take something or do something that would make everybody else older except for you, then you're not doing anything to yourself, but you're automatically the youngest looking.
How sweet of you.
That's actually lovely. That's such a humanitarian notion.
And speaking of getting young, the next one was When the Bow Breaks. Do you remember this one? This was when Wes was finally a hero, but amongst children, where it kind of really worked for us. And there were a lot of, there were some Westmore kids and some Wheaton kids, some siblings that were in this one. That was kind of a fun one.
Yeah. Well, we liked it. We loved seeing Wesley with his, with children, with kids. and how strong he was, how passionate he was, and how right it seemed, that it was always skewered for him because he was thrown into these adult environments that were awkward for him because he knew more than any of the adults in the room, so it was like,
Always.
Jesus, here he was with kids, and he was such a leader, such a great leader with this group.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the other thing I take a bit from this episode is I remember those alien race of people wanted to mold the kids into what they thought was going to be their best talent, and when you force that on people, and you're like, well, you're going to be a great whatever, chef or this or that, and it's not what they naturally derive in their own course of life, then you're going to find resistance. And you found some of the kids were like, yeah, I like music, but I don't want to do music like
that much.
Right. So it was about freedom of choice to me, and allowing people to have that freedom of choice in life.
Well, and acknowledging the person for who they are, and not trying to fit a square into a circle, to make the square the best square they can be.
Mm-hmm. And speaking of which, somebody that is absolutely not a square is Dr. Muhammad Noor, evolutionary biologist and professor at Duke University. He was our special guest for Home Soil, the episode of Home Soil. Thank goodness for that, because it talked all about, biology and terraforming and stuff. And we didn't really know what the heck was going on. And he helped us out. That was kind of I think the highlight of that episode was having Muhammad actually making this stuff sound exciting. He's like explaining all these things for us. But that was a good time.
Yeah, he's so enthusiastic and so knowledgeable, and just, a joy to be around. So that was we were walked through that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank God for him on that one, because that was all about mass, gravity, and all kind of rotation and non-carbon. And I'm like, please explain this for us.
You're looking at your notes, Cirroc, and you're like, I still don't know what this is.
I still need him to. I need him to read my notes back to me.
I need him like every day in my life, explain my existence.
We had another really good guest joining us for Coming of Age. It was John Putch, who played Mordok, the Benzite, in the Starfleet entrance exam episode. It was really cool. And John has been all over the place in Hollywood. He was so fun. I mean, I love Benzites. I think it's so cool that they introduced that alien race and he did it. But John was very interesting just as a person, even more so than the character.
Oh, John is, legendary Hollywood stock. He comes from the Stapletons, and, his mother was Jean Stapleton, the great actress on All in the Family. And his father was a fine director. And, it was so nice for me to reconnect with him, because he and I go back to the USA Film Festival. We were there together when I was on the jury there. So I hadn't seen him. I'd lost touch with him. So that was just a delight. And I loved him then. I love him still. And I hope we can continue our friendship. Yeah.
Yeah. This was the episode where Wesley was being tested to see if he was on some kind of super genius level.
Yeah.
Yeah. To get into Starfleet or something like that.
Yep.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I remember it was good.
And he doesn't do it. He's not chosen.
Which was great. I thought that was
absolutely.
That was the best written part, was that he doesn't win. He learns from it. Somebody else wins. But he did the right thing, in which, he helped Mordok, and he didn't, whatever it was, he learned his lesson. It was a moral lesson.
Yeah, he helped Mordok. And Mordok actually did the stand-up thing and say, well, he would have done better than me, so I think he deserves it because he actually helped me. and that was another kind of good character moment for both sides. So yeah, I like that episode.
Next was Heart of Glory, a Klingon episode. We had Vaughn Armstrong joining us. This was his first role in Star Trek, first of many. He's been in a ton of series, a ton of episodes. He's played a ton of different characters. This was the first one. This was the one that launched it. He played a radical Klingon. I can't remember the Klingon's name off the top of my head. That was a fun one. That was cool to see.
Yeah. And he was terrific in the episode. I just remember I hadn't, again, seen it in all those years, and just how good of an actor he was so nice to see.
The Klingon's name was Chorus, played by Vaughn Armstrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we got to see some of the Klingon rituals, and what we really got to see was how different Worf's character is from the other Klingons. I think they were trying to nitpick at him and say, have you always been this tame, or were you, have you been tamed, or were you always this docile, or something like that? And they were just poking at him because he was a Starfleet guy and because he's made that commitment. And I think that really showed us Worf's character. It gave us insight to the commitment that Worf made to be a stand-up Starfleet guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
we saw that death ritual, for the first time, which was really cool. Yeah.
Yes.
The episode to me in season 1, before this current rewatch, just from having seen it, decades ago, there were 2 episodes that I remember the most. One was Encounter at Farpoint. I remember buying the VHS tape for like $19.99. Had we known that we wouldn't have to pay for stuff later, I wouldn't have, but I did. And then the other super memorable one was Arsenal of Freedom. And that's this one that we're on right now. I just feel like I saw it the most on TV, and it was just cool to see Tasha doing the things that she's good at, Data doing the things he's good at, Picard and Crusher doing, having their moments, Geordi on the battle bridge. There was just so much going on in that episode that I thought it was a very memorable one.
Cool. Yeah, that's right. We find everybody is doing what they should be doing. Yes. Oftentimes, we talked about that throughout the podcast, that, why wouldn't Tasha be on the away mission every time they go to visit, something, or why, so here you get her capabilities.
Yeah. This is where you had the theme of AI being addressed, because that computer that was fighting you guys were shooting at was learning and starting to get better, and every time it came back, it would be smarter, and it would take a different approach in order to beat it. Also, this was the scene with Dr. Crusher and Captain Picard, where she asked him to find some root, I think, to rub on her leg. I think she hurt herself.
That's right.
Right.
So that was a nice, sensitive, soft scene between them. I enjoyed that a lot as well.
So up next was Symbiosis. This is a tough one to remember based on just the title, but if you remember, this is the one. Actually, I'll tell you, after the Enterprise D rescues a freighter crew and the ship's important cargo, Captain Picard faces a difficult dilemma: uphold the Prime Directive or save an entire civilization from exploitation. That's the key word. It's not symbiosis, it's exploitation. They had these people addicted to this drug that initially helped them, but then they just basically were a planet of drug dealers.
Yes, and corrupted, and it was really wonderful for me, but I thought the 2 guest actors were just tremendous. Richard Hurd, that played the addicted ones. They were, I think, really struck a balance in their portrayal of need and want and addiction. And it was, it's a good story, one that they, what Star Trek can really kind of hit about exploitation and addiction, and how that is the symbiotic relationship, and they can come at it in this way.
100%. And this is also an episode where we saw Picard make a difficult decision, because at the end he allows the drugs to get there, but it'll be the last time it gets there. So it's almost like this is your last fix, and then after that you're gonna have to figure out your way on your own. So there was that decision. He made a very kind of matter of fact, kind of on the nose, which I would say is a fair decision. Like, he tried to use the Prime Directive as his guiding force.
Right.
Only thing in this episode, I remember they had those electrical hands that they were shocking each other with, and they never really got more into that. It was like, like the guy's got electrical hand powers.
That's a big thing. That's a big deal.
That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, that's true.
Exactly.
But then they just kind of sloughed it off, like, well, what? Yeah, but who can't do that in the wintertime with the dry air?
Exactly.
And of course, speaking of hands, it's my famous wave.
Yes, that's right.
We have to talk about
the Denise Crosby, Tasha Yar.
Bye-bye. Yes,
that's the classic.
But what was a big deal was the next episode, Skin of Evil. Evil. Everybody knows this is the episode in which Armis kills Tasha Yar. Tasha gets blasted and flies super far. She has this weird thing on her face. Eve England made that thing out of a cookie.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a memorable one.
Yeah, it's an odd one. Because it's so anticlimactic in certain ways. The monologue I give in my hologram addressing everyone is very well written and beautifully written by Hannah Shearer.
Hannah Louise Shearer. Yeah.
Shearer, who I met. You guys, I'm just going to throw that in on the picket line at Paramount a couple weeks ago. Hadn't seen her since then. So it's. In hindsight, though, many people over the years have said how that was just, come on, what was that about? We would have liked to have seen this ferocious battle or this dramatic conclusion to this woman's life.
Or sacrificing herself to save something like that, yeah.
Exactly. And, Gene Roddenberry's intention was that it was so unprovoked, that it would be so evil. It would just be, why would you kill this woman? She did nothing. But it didn't really pan out, I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just feel like her character has survived so much, and she's so tough, and she's been through all of this stuff, and rape gangs and this and that, and then at least let her go out fighting harder, making that sacrifice for the team, dying on your feet, basically in a full fight. I think that would have been better to me. So I was a little disappointed with that, but they did make up for it with these personal sentiments that you give to each one of the characters. I think that was the redeeming factor.
Absolutely. Well, Cirroc, let's fly through these last three real quick before we hop into our free-for-all. The next one was We'll Always Have Paris. We had writer Deborah Dean Davis joining us. This was her only episode that she wrote, so it was imperative that we got her. This was kind of a fun one, if you recall this one.
I do. This was Picard missing out on a moment to have a date with a beautiful woman that he loved, and she ended up marrying another guy, a doctor who was really good at some kind of time engineering stuff. Mm-hmm. But really, this was for me. Picard says he was afraid.
It was missed opportunities.
Yeah. He was afraid, and he is afraid of romance with a woman and how that's going to alter and change his life. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this episode.
And Deborah was a great, freaking amazing guest. Really loved having her.
Absolutely.
Next, we had Michael Westmore coming back for Conspiracy, because this was the episode where a guy's head literally explodes. I guess not literally, but it looks like it does. His head explodes, his stomach blows up, and so it was huge in makeup effects. It was extremely gory. The reason, Denise, this is related, if you remember, in one of the previous episodes, that admiral was testing out Picard and his lieutenant, saying, like, remember he was asking questions of Picard and the whole crew and saying, what do you think of Picard? And what about when he did this and all that? And he was saying that he thinks that there's something going on. And we're like, we wanted to see where that led. Conspiracy is where that led. It was like a
second part, two-parter with a bunch of parts in between.
Connecting.
Exactly. Yeah. So we found out what that was. It was like they dropped that scene.
There were people that were,
infiltrating Starfleet.
Okay. Got it.
Mm-hmm. So that was
this had the bowl of bugs scene, eating the bug scene, which I thought was disgusting.
Yeah,
that's
Denise. You really
from this episode.
You're lucky you missed this one. There was all kinds of madness.
No, ew.
Yeah, so
this was actually a horror. This was a Star Trek horror episode, essentially.
Conspiracy. Okay, let's.
Look.
Oh my God.
This guy's head actually explodes. No, sir. It's right after you left. And then right here, they're eating maggots and grubs.
They're eating maggots and bugs. Yeah, it's a horror episode.
Oh my God. What in God's name?
That little alien thing comes out of his stomach, and it looks like the
that's
pretty crazy.
No,
pretty wild.
No.
So
can you imagine the little kids watching Star Trek, on their
first their favorite character dies, and then right after that they're like, there's and it was the same two people, the same two actors from that previous episode were in this one.
The admiral really cool. And that creepy guy who was really
and he's the guy that explodes.
The creepy guy.
It's insane. It's bedlam. So
that's hysterical.
It's unbelievable. I believe Eve England is on record saying it's my favorite episode of the year.
No, she did not.
No, she did. She said she will repeat it today, I'm sure.
Oh my God.
The last
I'm
one
going to hold her accountable.
Was The Neutral Zone. Director James L. Conway joined us for that one. Pretty fun, pretty cool. Any thoughts on that, Cirroc, before we go?
Not the best ending to a first season, like a season finale. Left a lot more room for improvement.
Yep.
What's curious to me is why didn't they end the season with Tasha? Tasha's dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That would have been better
because they
you would have ended the first season.
This last episode introduces the Romulans for the first time, so you get to see them, but there was no confrontation. It's very little interaction with the Romulans.
And it was Mark Alimo again. Mark Alimo played this bad Romulan. He was amazing.
Yeah,
but
he was amazing.
It kind of
it's such a natural conclusion. It's such a natural conclusion to the first.
You kill one of your main characters.
Absolutely.
At the end of the first season.
Absolutely.
All right, well, we've got to go to the free-for-all, everybody. We've got a lot more to talk about. We're going to talk about our favorite episodes and favorite moments, but very quickly, special thanks to Homer Frizzell, Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel, Eve England out in Wales, Yvette Blackman, Tom, TJ Jackson Bay, Bill Victor Arukin, Titus Muller, Darlena Marie, Dr. Muhammad Noor, Tierney C. Diekman, Anna Post, Anil O. Palat, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, DQ, Neil Akasaka. Our good pal Justine Norton Kurtzen, Dr. Stephanie Baker, Carrie Schwent, Faith Howell, Edward Foltz, my live from Tokyo, the Matt Boardman, Chris McGee, Justin Weir, Jake Barrett, Jane Jorgensen, Henry Unger, Allison Leach Hyde, Julie Manasfi, and Nikki T, and of course, Dr. Susan V. Gruner and Jason Oken. All right, everybody, stick around. We've got the free-for-all. We'll be right back on the 7th Rule. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Seventh Rule. This is this Next Generation Season 1 review special free-for-all. Melissa Longo is here.
Hi.
Of course, we've got Jason Oken. Harry Schwent
Too much
is also
enthusiasm
here.
there. Too much enthusiasm. Okay?
Eve
Take
England
it down a notch.
is out in Wales. That is a radical color. Allison Leach Hyde is wearing a Melissa Longo creation, as am I. You can get that at the introvertedrepublic.com, both of those. Chris McGee is also here. Mai is live in Tokyo wearing a cool ISO linear chip you could get in the Seventh Rule online spring store. Tierney C. Diekman is here also giving us the double cool hey. We've got Susan V. Gruner, freshly back from Greece and Turkey. Oh, and wearing a cool Thembolt and Chill shirt that I hope you will love. Faith Howell is here, and our newest cadet. All right. Let's get into it. First things first.
Did we introduce Carrie?
Yes.
Oh, we did. Okay,
yeah.
sorry.
And we mentioned her early on, too, as well.
Crafty Bear.
We don't have a Jake Sisko guesses the IMDb score here. So instead of that, which character got the most non-appearance mentions in season 1 of Star Trek: The Next Generation?
Holy crush, Jack Crusher.
Jack Crusher.
What's the number?
6.
5.
4. Let's keep going down.
It is 5. Jack Crusher dominated with 5. Second place is a 10-way tie with 1. So he's definitely dominated. All right. Well, Melissa Longo, please get us started. What was your favorite episode of season 1 and or favorite moment?
Oh man, favorite moment. How could you boil down one favorite moment? and I don't have just one favorite episode. I have 3 that hit the top for me.
Favorite moment.
The best pornographic moment or the
conspiracy is one of them. Heart of Glory and Where No One Has Gone Before. Maybe favorite moment is when the Klingon death scream.
God.
But yes, Conspiracy was great because of all the gross stuff and how much I said ew while watching it. Yeah, those are my answers and I'm sticking to it. Although I would like to give honorable mention to The Naked Now and Justice because they were just as Denise. They're just so much fun to watch.
Yeah,
Why?
for sure.
Oh, never mind.
For sure. Costumes alone.
And all the oil.
Oh, and Melissa's also wearing a Melissa Longo creation.
I am. I love how it cuts and tapers.
Allison Leach Hyde is here. What's up, Allison? Did you have a favorite episode and or moment of season 1?
I do have a favorite episode, and it is The Big Goodbye. I love that episode. And just for Crusher, she's amazing in it. All the physical comedy and facial expressions. So she wins hands down in that episode. And many times she will steal a scene by telegraphing all of her emotions through her face. So that's my favorite episode. And I don't know if I can boil down to just one moment, but I'll say my moment for the episode is when she's tripping down the stairs, because that's hard.
Me too.
She did it with such grace and believability. So, and so that's my favorite.
And that's hard to do. Like, especially in heels and not looking at the stairs, and that's serious physical skill there.
And not hurting yourself, because rolling your ankles is painful.
Yeah, talk to Ginger Rogers. She did everything Fred Astaire did, but backwards in heels.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow. Eve England does everything backwards in heels. What's up? Do you have a favorite moment and or episode?
Yeah, so Conspiracy is definitely my favorite. I just loved it. It just popped compared to all the other episodes. It's so different to everything else that we saw in season 1. And I loved the darkness of it. I loved how, you had all the intrigue and you had the amazing music in it and all the different lighting, etc. So I just loved how the change of tone came about in that episode. But I also, similar to what Melissa said, I really enjoyed Where No Man Has Gone Before, or No One Has Gone Before as well. I just thought that was just a classic sci-fi story, and that was just a beautiful episode. In terms of a moment, I don't really have a specific moment, but I think, and this just basically harks back to everything I said pretty much every week, was the music to me almost merits, it's almost like its own character. I just felt that without the music of this show, I just think it would have felt emotionally, I don't know, dead. It just had so much, it just brought the whole story in each episode to life. So I love the kind of orchestration and all of the synth that you had. So to me, it just brought so much more depth to the whole season. So for me, that's what really saved season 1 for me. And I just absolutely love the music.
So everybody at home, Eve England has never seen The Next Generation. This is her first time, so you know that she is in for a treat. If Conspiracy is her favorite, it gets super gory in subsequent episodes, like non-stop gore. You're going to love it. Carrie Schwent is here. What's up? The aforementioned. How are you today? What are your thoughts? Favorite moment and or episode?
I'm good. I've got a tie for kind of a serious favorite, and then I have my guilty pleasure favorite, and then I have my favorite uniform, the Scant, and I have my limerick that was challenged to me to create at the beginning of the season. I think it was in a roundtable. I do not remember who challenged me. They can get back to me if they remember doing it. But tied for serious favorites are Haven and the Big Goodbye. I adore Waxana Troy. She is just larger than life and is hysterical in every episode she's in. The Big Goodbye, I love just the whole period costumes of the 40s. I love stuff like that. Not so much about the noir, but I loved like the costumes of it. I love Picard in it. My guilty pleasure favorite, and Denise, it's The Naked Now. I love that episode so much. Data especially in it, especially once he's like drunk and then him leaning and then falling over. Absolutely my favorite moment of probably the entire first season. And I lost my train of thought for a second there, but favorite character quick is of course Q, my little tiny Q. Not so much Hyde and Q, but I do like Q himself. His episodes get better later. But to finish off my ode to the Scant. This season we were treated to the Scant, a uniform with a skirt instead of some pants. It features short sleeves and boasts a look at the knees. Men can wear it too, and no one looks askance. Thank you.
Oh, you're on mute, Ryan.
Don't tell him.
Oh, bummer. I just complimented your background, Carrie. I said it looks great. Good work.
Some wrap-up collage.
Mm-hmm. Jason Oken is here. What's up, Jason? Do you have a favorite episode and or moment?
I kind of look at this probably like everything else when it comes to a series or a series of movies as, what it depends on my mood. There are a few things that I'd probably highlight, and depending on what it is, I lean toward one more than the other. I mean, several people mentioned Conspiracy just because of how different it is. A few others I'd mention is Heart of Glory, Coming of Age, Data Lore, and 11. Let me get this right: 11001001. Because of how unique it was, in a way that it was really well done. The interesting part when it comes to moments is you can actually have very good moments and very bad episodes, and that's kind of an interesting thing about Trek. And certainly, Skin of Evil is not anybody's favorite episode, but the end of it, Denise, and your speech and the way this was delivered. I mean, this is sort of the crew as we want them, as we want to see them, as we want them to be, and it's marvelous. To see, for example, Patrick spar with John Delancey. I mean, Hide and Q is not the best episode, but see them spar and hear Patrick recite Shakespeare. I mean, any day of the week. So that's great. There are some, I'd also highlight a cringe-inducing moment, and that drugs can make you feel good. Speech in Symbiosis. So I don't understand why people do drugs. I mean, that was just so preachy to me. I mean, to me, that was kind of a cringe-inducing scene. I mean, I understand why it was done, but again, there are these moments here and there that are terrific, and some that are not. And some episodes obviously are better than others. And these moments come in all kinds of different places. I mean, Symbiosis by itself is not a bad show, but it has one of the, at least in my mind, a little too after-school special type episode. In terms of drug use. I mean, you want to get the message, but you want to hit people over the head with it. So when it's a little too on the nose, it's, maybe a little bit too much. But overall, I think it's, I'd say, as I said, there are some favorite moments and there's some more or less favorite episodes.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Jason Oken, Dr. Susan V. Gruner is back with a tan from the Eastern Mediterranean. What's up? What's up, Sue?
Okay.
Do you have a favorite moment and or episode?
Well, for the first time, I think, I actually looked on IMDb because I wanted to look at the whole season and see every episode so I could give you the top 3. And I read all this stuff that really amazed me. I know that Denise has told us so much about what went on behind the scenes, and there's even more that I did not know about, which explains a lot. And looking back at the entire season, I actually liked it. Remember, I was a hardcore Trek fan, and I didn't want to watch that first season, and I didn't when it first came out because I was such an original series fan. So my favorite 3 are Haven, Conspiracy, and even the first one, Encounter at Farpoint. Even though I hated it back in the day, looking back, I like it. And I love Conspiracy. That's Wrath of Khan meets Alien. And like you've said, those are my top 3. I don't think I have a favorite moment, but I miss Denise's presence on the show. That's noticeable immediately and unconscionable that they didn't mention it in the next episode. But those are my fave 3 episodes. And there's a lot of strange things going on behind the scenes. People quitting, and amazing that they did anything.
Yeah.
And looking back, we love them now. We love the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, even so, Sue, when you said hated it, I can't be the only one that wasn't wishing that you did this when you said it.
I hated it. Oh my God.
Hated it.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So Tierney C. Diekman is here as well. Tierney, even if you didn't watch every episode with us, I bet you got them mostly memorized. Do you have a favorite moment and or episode?
Oh my. Can't necessarily say I have a favorite episode specifically. Jason put it very well. Of course, I can't remember his exact wording, but that essentially there are good moments in some bad episodes, and there are a lot of there's a lot of that going on in season 1, and I can boil it down to a favorite, I guess, a favorite moment, and I think even I can fist bump on that when we finally get to meet in person. It's just that damn Goran conspiracy. It hits you like a train when you haven't seen it in a while, and I think it's our first definitive introduction without reading too much into it of the horror Trek episodes, and I just love it. I love me some hilarious gore. I don't know what that says about me, but I don't care. It's just great, and it's so over the top, especially with the tone of that episode being a little odd. It's slow in spots and quiet, and it gives you this kind of otherworldly surrealism when they go down to Starfleet headquarters. I think they're at one point, and there's no one around, and it's eerie, and then it just goes all out ridiculous. So that is a favorite moment just for how obscure it is. And as far as moments go, I will say for season 1, we get a lot of iconography as far as Star Trek goes, from the very beginning with Encounter at Farpoint and the court of Q, and all the way through with Code of Honor and on down. The outfits in Injustice, our first views of the Ferengi, hiding Q, and those odd Boer soldiers, and it just keeps going. Beverly Crusher in that fabulous pink outfit on the holodeck, and oh god, Angel 1, more outfits, and it again just keeps going. We get Minuet, and all of these things are happening just in season 1. And when Faith and I were talking on Mountain Voice, she made a great point that I'm sure we can all agree with. Trek series kind of take a couple of seasons to really find their niche. You got to keep watching to get it going, but there's a lot to unpack here. And unfortunately, we also lose a lot when we lose Denise. Mm-hmm. And I think that's my favorite thing about this, about season 1, and why no matter what, I always go back and I watch through season 1, is Tasha is such an important character. And like I had said in the notes from Skin of Evil that you, thankfully, I appreciate you reading them off, is that if she had had a normal run and a normal death, the deathbed and as expected, I think we would have had a very different show, potentially a very different Worf, even a very different Geordi or Troy as another strong female character. Who knows? I'm sure there's fan fiction and God knows what out there somewhere. But we didn't get that. She was just gone. So in essence, she's more heavy Star Trek iconography right in these first few episodes of season 1 of a brand new show. And we still grieve for her character and wonder what could have been. And Denise, we love you for it. We love you so much for it. So there's a lot here. There's a lot here to favorite without picking specific episodes in the shaky season of first season of a Star Trek series. But otherwise, it's worth it to get through, if only to get to what's to come. I'm so excited for Eve and Cirroc to keep going through this. Oh my god, you guys are gonna have so much fun.
You will. Thanks very much, Tierney. Good stuff there. I think you have a matching mug to Cirroc's almost too. Mai is live in Tokyo. What's up, Mai? Do you have a favorite episode and or moment?
I do have a favorite episode and a favorite moment. They're actually in the same one. The season overall, but Skin of Evil, which is arguably one of the cheesiest production things out there, had the best moment for me. It's Denise's character and the parting words gave my life such a boost that I hold the season because of that in a very special place in my heart. It gives me strength. It gives me peace. It gives me hope. That speech kicked my ass left, right, and center 35 years ago. Didn't know I was going to need it. Now that I have it, it keeps me going. I love that so much. That's hands down it for me. This show is it's not Voyager, Enterprise, DS9. We have to look at it differently. It's a reboot. We're looking at it. If we look at it from backwards at it, we're looking at it in the wrong direction, I think. I mean, on the face of it, we had a cast of giants. It should have provided a winning recipe, but the writers, well, I mean, the episodes where the stars were allowed to shine, they often did, hinting at the future brilliance that we were going to see. But where they weren't allowed to take it, where they didn't take advantage of all, of all of the strengths of the actors, the episodes maybe plummeted precipitously. But I think the key thing that seemed to be missing was the character development. But I have to say that, 2 decades later, after the original series, this wasn't the most creative way to modernize Star Trek, but the characters, the actors that brought those characters to life, I think it speaks very highly of the actors themselves for what they were able to do, even with those scripts. So I'm going to give it a 6.5 overall because of some high points, because of some low points. But this season, that one moment in Skin of Evil, hands down, forever and ever, my favorite moment.
Oh,
excellent. Beautiful. Chris McGee, what's up? Good to see you. Do you have a hands down favorite moment and or episode?
Indeed, I do. In fact, I wrote down 5 of them because I guess I'm just an overachiever or something. But I will just mention the top 3. If you want to know what the other numbers 4 and 5 are, tune into Things Left Unsaid, maybe. So I'll go with because I didn't want to squeeze them all into my time here. So number 3, the 6th episode, Where No One Has Gone Before. Beautiful visuals, even by today's standards, even 35 years later. And if you're just looking at the original version, not the remastered, it still looks gorgeous. And of course, the great acting by both Stanley Kamel, who played Kaczynski, the villain you love to hate, and of course Patrick Stewart when he sees the vision of his mother. And that shows you why he was chosen for the role of Picard.
Chris, can I just stop you and say how cool it is that you're doing a countdown like in 3, 2, 1 order? That's always so exciting for me.
There's another way to do it?
No, that's the best.
My number 2 episode is actually the 12th episode, The Big Goodbye. It's an excellent period piece, and of course, award winners all around. Won the Peabody Award. Bill Tice, is that how you pronounce his name? He won an Emmy for outstanding costume design. Edward Brown won an Emmy for outstanding cinematography. I mean, I agree with every single bit of that. Can't get any better than that, I tell you. Well, except for the number 1 on my list here, which is of course the 20th episode, Heart of Glory. Good story. Excellent cinematography. I love that final scene where Worf roars and the camera pulls back in staccato, and then immediately you shows a close-up of Picard, and you just know what he's thinking while he's watching, just witnessing it. And of course, what else can be said about Vaughn Armstrong's incredible performance that hasn't already been said during that episode's review, with of course Michael Dorn as well. Just fantastic. Perfect episode of the season, and that's saying something for this. As far as yes, indeed, those wonderful roars. I also have a few takeaways, but I'll just say one now and save the rest for Things Left Unsaid. This season was quite unique in that it shows how willing they were to, push the boundaries and subvert expectations. A death of a major character before the season was over. That was totally unexpected. Hadn't really seen that much in any other show. And of course, as everyone's already said, the conspiracy episode with that surprising gore right at the end no one was expecting. So it was great to see that they were willing to go the extra mile in this show. As for my favorite moment, I'll combine it with my quote of the season, which I'm not going to just duplicate a quote that I've picked for a previous episode. That'd be a little bit lazy. So I tried to pick a quote that I figured would encapsulate the entire season as a whole. So my favorite moment in quote is at the end of Encounter at Farpoint when Picard leans forward and says, "Let's see what's out there." Because after all, folks, we're just getting started.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Looking forward to 6 more seasons. Faith Howell is here hanging out in the Enterprise D. Faith, do you have a favorite moment and or favorite episode?
Definitely, it's easier for me to pick favorite moment. As Tierney already said, I feel like Trek always needs a couple seasons to get started, and I do wonder, Denise, if you had stayed with it a while longer, would you have gotten the episodes that you were hoping for? Would the writers have figured out the characters better? But we got what we got, and we do get to see you again later. So the stories were different, but we can still appreciate them. My top 3 has to be the Melanoid Slime Worm, because I mean,
Yes.
we got a whole character out of 3 words we didn't expect to be ever heard of again. And I also like that episode for that little glimpse into the Academy and things outside of our regular starship that we're on. I also like Minuet, and I feel like there's so many little nuggets that are so there he is.
Yay!
So many little memorable nuggets that pop up throughout not just this series, but throughout all of the intervening years. So, the Klingon roar and Q in particular. So as much as this is not my favorite season, I really appreciate all that was all the foundation that was laid here. And I hope that Cirroc and Eve will stick around despite the rocky start.
Yep. Cirroc probably will. Eve's thinking about it. Cirroc and Denise, final thoughts on season 1 as we close the book on the greatest season in Star Trek history.
My goodness. I think it's a wonderful sort of historical place mark to see what happens, how after 25 years the idea and the thought to revisit this legendary TV show that had meant so much to so many people, how it can find its way. And I think, you have to give it credit for just throwing down, good or bad. A lot of it doesn't work, but somebody had to go first. And it succeeds so well in that way. And, look at what we're experiencing now. The people that are sort of in charge, the custodians of Star Trek, they started by watching this, and going, we love this and we love it so much, we're going to do it in our lives. We're going to go on and make this stuff happen. The J.J. Abrams, the Terry Matalas, all these guys that are in the throes of it right now. And there's something really sort of profound about that. And I'm just really proud and pleased to be a part of that,
Yeah. Well, you should be. You are a freaking highlight. You're an all-time Star Trek highlight in just 23 episodes.
Absolutely.
So sweet. You're so sweet.
What do you got for us, Cirroc?
My favorite episode, probably gonna be The Naked Now, and that's because of you didn't that outfit you were rocking.
I'm never
Now
gonna
there's
get
a surprise.
and do a hoochie coochie dance. It's just something.
Yeah.
Well, I still can. Okay.
Everybody knows that when I get intendant vibes, I can't go back. So you were killing it. You were killing it. And I definitely love the whole fully functional data jokes and stuff like that stands out for me. I like Where No One Has Gone Before. I thought it was a good concept for science fiction and them kind of going to the outer limits of space and being propelled at that rate. I like that concept. I thought Vaughn Armstrong was probably the best guest star of this first season. His speech that he gives to Worf in Heart of Glory kind of resonates as my favorite words speech wise in this. Just the way he delivered it, it felt like Shakespeare. He says, "So when the night was still and quiet and the sound of the blood rushing through your veins filled your ears, the only way to silence it was to slip out into the night and, like the hunter that spawned you, join in the struggle of life and death." And I mean, just the way that's written is extremely poetic to me. And I think that's Vaughn hit it out of the park when he delivered that scene. I enjoyed the moment in We'll Always Have Paris when Picard is basically told by the woman that he left behind that, you know, being with her would give him an ordinary life. And he said, "Am I that transparent?" And I felt that was a really a moment of revelation for Picard's character about his kind of kryptonite and his vulnerabilities in his own makeup. Geordi without the visor, kind of seeing for the first time, and the expression on his face will always be something I can remember as just an awesome performance. And, you know, overall, this season wasn't so bad when you compare it against other stuff that was being produced in the 80s, stuff that I probably wouldn't watch again at all. So when you put it up against that, you know, the themes were timeless themes, and they're thought provoking, and that's what Star Trek I think tries to do the best of. It's just provoke the viewer to think and encourage them to use the skills that they have in deducing and rationalizing and science and whatever you have to use to apply to problem solving. That's what Star Trek kind of encourages, and that's what I like about it. And that's what I really take away from this first season. It is staying true to that. I have nitpicks about different things. I would do it differently. I would wish they did Worf's makeup better and this and that, and I can all go down the list. But ultimately, you know, they're creating a formula of television that is holding to a higher standard than just, you know, popcorn and mindlessness. This is something you can tune into as opposed to tune out. And I appreciate that about Star Trek. So that's one of my biggest takeaways. And Denise, just going on this journey with you in this first season has been an absolute pleasure. I have loved every moment of it. You have given us such great insight to just how you feel about things. And, you know, watching these episodes with you has just made it that much more special and given us all a boost to feel more connected to the next generation. So I thank you for that.
Oh my God. The pleasure has been mine. I've said it so often, and it has been more than I anticipated. So fulfilling and rich and delightful and fun and funny. I mean, and again, I things come to you when you least expect them. And I wasn't expecting this, and I wasn't expecting to rewatch any of these episodes anytime soon. So, but like I said, I have a deeper connection, a renewed connection with the show, with Star Trek, with Tasha Yar for sure. You've reminded me to, that I own her,
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you, Denise. It's been amazing, not just watching you for 35 years as Tasha Yar, but obviously having you here, making everybody smile and really enriching all of our lives. And it's funny, when Cirroc was talking about looking back on this season, it's like, well, I feel like this season is everybody talks about how bad it is, but looking back on it, I look back with fondness now. Like, I think you probably have, Denise, the biggest reason for that I'm actually looking back on season 1 with fondness. Like, those were the good old days.
Well, it is. We have a sort of perspective on it. For again, what it was there for. It opened the door. Somebody had to do it, and it really holds its own in a nostalgic, loving way. We can't. How badly can you fault it? Because its intentions are so good, and it makes mistakes like we all do. It is exactly what we need it to be, and it was really. You guys have reminded me of that. You've restored my faith in it in a way, which is nice, because again, I'm way over here, and this is something I did way over here. And yes, I'm reminded of it because of fans and conventions, and it's always on somewhere. But to really sit down and watch the episodes and talk about them with the two of you and all of us in the round table, it's a very, very different experience. I certainly didn't do that when 35 years ago, when they came on the air for the first time. I didn't sit around with anyone, and go, wow, okay, we were just right back to work. You didn't have the ability, the pause in your life, the distance. You were just right back to work. So it has been incredibly rewarding and deep and beautiful for me to do this with you guys. Really,
and this was so much fun that everybody at home, remember, Star Trek Las Vegas, we will be up on stage talking about this. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait.
That will be really fun.
Mm-hmm. Sorry, Creation Entertainment's 57-year anniversary convention is what it's called, I think. Okay. Anyway, well, everybody, we have to run. 57, I think, yeah.
Mission log? Oh. Anyway.
Mission log will be there too. We love those guys. All right. So thank you to Malissa, Jason Oken, who, by the way, when you said everybody makes mistakes, we all looked at Jason like, he doesn't. Carrie Schwent, thank you. Thank you, Eve, Allison, Chris, Mai, Tierney, Sue, and Faith. And especially Denise Crosby. Everybody go tell her how much you love her, either in person or online at Twitter, the Denise Crosby, I believe it is, at the Denise Crosby. We will see you all soon. Thank you very much for joining us. And until next time, always remember the 7th rule.
Oh my god, amazing.
What? Oh, I slipped. I accidentally.
God.
Because I know what did I?
Amazing.
An Advil after seeing. I mean, wow.
Oh man, we have to eat dinner
That
soon.
close for comfort. Wow.
To toes things
Yeah.
out, yeah.
Yeah.
Listen,
Yeah.
if any of you want to try and rock that costume,
Well, Ryan's going to be wearing that in Vegas this year.
I'm going to say it now. Dinner's on me. Okay. I mean, seriously, I'm.
Well, do you want to do the panel? Do you guys
In that
want to do the
outfit.
panel like that?
Dude,
Right.
and I'll totally man spread. We'll do it, dude.
With that outfit, dinner should be on Ryan. He'll just have to walk.
I won't go on stage. You'll have to drag me to the hook. I can't do it. I can't do it.
I'm not dragging anything if I'm cosplaying that. There will be no physical exertion.
You just have to stand frozen, like,
No gusts of wind, no nothing.
No.
Anyway.
No shaking the tree.
Swimming in the pool.
Oh lordy. Oh lordy.